Oh, you voted. Has your vote been stolen? Check this out with former Alabama Governor Don Siegelman. Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Let's talk with somebody who really understands these issues. He was the Attorney General for the state of Alabama from 1987 to 1991. He was the Secretary of State from 1979 to 1987. He was the Lieutenant Governor from 1995 to 1999. He was the Governor from 1999 to 2003. He's the author of a new book, Stealing Our Democracy, for which I wrote a blurb, and I'm very proud of. Former Governor Don Siegelman of Alabama. StealingOurDemocracy.com and DonSiegelman.org are his websites. You can tweet him at Don Siegelman. Governor Siegelman, welcome back to the program. Tell us the story of how your 2002 election was stolen and what we can take away from that, what we need to learn from that.
Well, quite simply, I won the election when the votes were counted, when the votes were counted the night of the election, ABC, NBC, CBS, declared that I was the winner. And after the polls were closed and poll workers were sent home, in one Republican-controlled county, 6,000 of my votes were electronically transferred from me to my opponent, and my Republican opponent was declared the winner. He was illegally certified by the Republican Attorney General the next morning, and then he stopped our recount and threatened to put anybody in jail who so much as touched any of the ballots. We were foreclosed because the state Supreme Court had been taken over by Republicans at the hands of Karl Rove, and we had just witnessed Bush v. Gore, where the U.S. Supreme Court had handed the presidential election to Bush. So all was lost in my case. So I said, we were going to walk away, and not unlike Al Gore in 2000, he too felt like he was thrown into a catch-22, and there wasn't anything he could do about it. So I said I was going to run again. But my point is that if a local yokel who was trained by the software provider can hack an election in Alabama and steal an election for governor, think about what can be done on the national level. And, with elections being conducted in secret, the counting is in secret, there's no audit after the election, we don't know what's going on. So I just, encourage your listeners, one, to be alert, two, to vote. And I think the cure to stealing election is for us to vote in such numbers that they can't possibly steal that many votes. But
has anything happened in Alabama since the 2002 election was stolen from you? Has anything happened in that state that would make that more difficult in the future? No, and there's nothing that's been done on a national level. We watched in the 2004 Kerry-Bush race that, there were anomalies in Ohio and other places that raised alarms about, what was really going on. And, of course, in 2016, we had allegations of Russian meddling in our elections. And now we have even more signs that there are attempts to infiltrate our voting systems. And, if people just think about it, we work on computers all the time. Everybody gets hacked. People get their contact list stolen from them. They get their identity stolen from them. It's the same process that can be put in place that can steal elections. After my election in 2002, we had the Republican Party gave credit to a couple of people for swinging the election to my opponent. One was a guy named Dan Gans, who had been trained by the software provider as an election security expert, who was working for my opponent, and then who immediately left the state and went to work for
a Tom DeLay, a Jack Abramoff company, the Alexandria Group, which had all sorts of nefarious connections. There are just too many dangerous opportunities for misconduct, and in this election, we're going to see a challenge of en masse of absentee ballots by the Republicans, orchestrated by Karl Rove. He's a master at this, but we've just got to be alert, and we've got to after the election. I think what we need to do is to have a national ballot and election audit commission established by Congress that can really dive in and look at election anomalies and try to figure out a way to stop it.
Yeah. Also, I would think, we're talking with Governor Don Siegelman, his new book, Stealing Our Democracy, stealingourdemocracy.com. Governor, I would think that if we were to pass a constitutional amendment or even a very, very strong piece of legislation that explicitly said Americans have a right to vote, then those voters whose votes were switched from your column to Bob Riley's column, your competitor, your Republican competitor, those voters would have a basis to sue the government saying, you violated my right, you stole my vote. Right now, in most states, I'm not sure that they would have that right. That seems to me like a really important thing to do, as well as this commission and the things that you're talking about, that I think a lot of those are in H.R. 1, which was the first piece of legislation passed by the House of Representatives in this last Congress, which Mitch McConnell has refused to even have a hearing about in the United States Senate. Does that make sense to you?
Oh yes. I think we've got to ensure that every vote that's cast is counted and counted accurately, and there's got to be consequences for those people who are trying to impact the outcome of elections in inappropriate ways. If you look at this country's history, it was founded on efforts to predetermine the outcome of elections. We excluded Indians, slaves, and women, and then we excluded freed slaves, we excluded felons, we instituted literacy tests, poll taxes, restrictions on the time and place to register, limiting the number of hours that people could vote. Then we followed that with Ku Klux Klan lynchings to intimidate voters, voter IDs, gerrymandering, and so we've got a country that is rich in this effort to predetermine the outcome of an election, and now we have this electronic voting and computers that are counting in secret with no independent audits conducted. It's just scary. I'm not saying that the election is rigged. I'm just saying that we need to be aware that it can happen. It has happened. Elections have been stolen. They can be stolen, and we need to be alert to that. And I think the word to your listeners is vote and vote, to get all your friends to vote. We've got to make sure that everybody that can vote is out there on Election Day.
Yeah. Absolutely. Governor, we just have 40 seconds, so we're going to hit a hard break here that I can't control. I did not realize that Karl Rove was running or advising the Republican operation or the Trump operation. Is that the case right now?
Well, that's my understanding. He was called to the White House. He came to the White House. These are two people who in 2016 were calling each other names. One said one was a moron. The other one said the other one was an idiot. But now that they need each other, they came together. The scary thing is, Karl Rove.
Yeah, the scary thing is, you can finish your thoughts, sir, very quickly.
Okay. Well, the scary thing is, Karl Rove is back in control. So we have to keep a close watch on it.